Hubris is a trap for us all. That is the last certainty, when all others are gone. There are no more certainties in this galaxy, my son. Only hubris, and only war. Within the vast, grim darkness of the Warhammer 40K verse, the Primarchs stand as titans of myth and legend, the gene-forged sons of the Emperor of Mankind, each a paragon of war and leadership. Much debate rages among adherents of the lore as to which of these demigods was the strongest. While physical might, strategic genius, or psychic power are often cited as key metrics, a more profound analysis delving into the intricate details of their beings and legacies suggests that Sanguinius, the Great Angel, Primarch of the Blood Angels, holds a unique claim to this title, one that transcends mere martial prowess or potent psychic abilities. His strength lay not just in his formidable capabilities, but in the very essence of his character, his resilience against fate, and his ultimate pivotal sacrifice. Greetings all, I'm your guide, the Archivist. Today I will dive into why Sanguinius could be considered the strongest Primarch. Before we begin, please make sure to like the like and subscribe waypoints, or join to become an acolyte down below, so that more people can learn from the archives. To argue for Sanguinius as the strongest requires defining what constitutes strength in this context. It is not solely the ability to crush a foe with sheer force, though Sanguinius possessed that in abundance. Nor is it purely the capacity to wield warp energy, though he harbored subtle, significant psychic gifts. True strength for a Primarch encompassed physical dominance, yes, but also unparalleled leadership, unwavering loyalty, and spiritual fortitude. Strategic insight, and perhaps most crucially, an ability to face and even defy their own limitations and destiny. By these comprehensive measures, Sanguinius presents a compelling case unmatched by his brethren. Physically, Sanguinius was undoubtedly among the foremost combatants. His speed and grace were legendary, transforming the brutal art of war into a deadly ballet. Unlike the raw, destructive power of Angron or the sturdy resilience of Mortarion, Sanguinius fought with divine precision and speed, augmented by his magnificent wings, which granted him unparalleled three-dimensional mobility on the battlefield. Accounts of his duels consistently depict an individual operating on a different plane of existence, comparative to even his gene-enhanced peers. He single-handedly held back hordes during the Siege of Terror, battled demonic entities that would shatter lesser beings, and his personal guards, the Sanguinary Guard, were among the most elite warriors in the entire Imperium, a testament to the standards set by their Primarch. While others like Russ or Fulgrim might boast specific dueling victories, Sanguinius' consistent performance against the most overwhelming odds, including the very fabric of chaotic reality, speaks volumes about his physical and martial supremacy. Yet Sanguinius' strengths extended far beyond the physical. He possessed a unique spiritual and perhaps subtle psychic sensitivity. While not a warp wielder on the scale of Magnus the Red, Sanguinius suffered with prophetic visions, glimpses of the future that often showed him his own tragic end and the suffering of his lineage. Most beings would be crippled by such knowledge, descending into despair or paranoia, such as Comrade Kurz. Sanguinius, however, bore this immense psychological burden with profound grace and resilience. He chose to fight on, to love, to inspire, and to pursue the Emperor's vision, all while knowing the likely futility of his own personal survival. This ability to carry such a heavy burden, a soul-crushing weight, and still emerge as the most universally loved and respected Primarch is a demonstration of inner strength that arguably surpasses any physical feat. Furthermore, Sanguinius possessed an aura, a spiritual presence, that was inherently antithetical to the forces of chaos. While many of his brothers felt a temptation, despair, or pride, Sanguinius remained steadfast. Even the inherent psychological flaw within his own gene seed, the red thirst and the black rage, manifestations of his own tragic nature and ultimate fate, could not corrupt his fundamental loyalty or nobility of spirit. He wrestled with this darkness internally throughout his existence, another profound burden, yet he never wavered in his devotion to the Imperium and humanity. This internal struggle, fought and largely won on a daily basis, highlights a level of spiritual fortitude few, if any, of his brothers could match. The details of his internal battle adds layers to his strength, showing it was not merely a lack of temptation but an active conscious resistance to it. His leadership qualities were also unparalleled. Sanguinius inspired not just obedience, but profound love and loyalty from his legion, and deep respect from his brothers and the wider Imperium. He was a peacemaker, the mediator, the one Primarch who could often bridge the rift between his diverse siblings. Even Horus, the War Master and eventual traitor, held a deep, tragic affection for Sanguinius, recognizing his purity and inherent nobility. Guilliman saw him as a potential successor to the Emperor's mantle. This universal admiration was not just due to his appearance but to his wisdom, empathy, and the unwavering adherence to the highest ideals of the Imperium. His capacity to unite and inspire, even in the darkest hours, was a form of strength crucial to the survival of humanity. The ultimate argument for Sanguinius' peerless strength culminates in the tragic zenith of the Horus heresy, the Siege of Terror. While the Imperium crumbled around him, Sanguinius led the defense of the Emperor's palace with unmatched courage and tactical brilliance, despite being racked by the visions of his inescapable death and the burgeoning black rage within his legion. His final act, confronting a warp-empowered Horus aboard the War Master's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, is the linchpin of this argument. Sanguinius knew he could not win this fight in a conventional sense. Horus, empowered by the full might of chaos, was a being of unimaginable power, far exceeding his former self. Yet Sanguinius stepped through the portal, not out of blind courage, but out of a conscious decision rooted in sacrifice and duty, perhaps seeing a slim chance, a necessary act, or simply the only path left to protect his father and his species. The details of that final confrontation remain shaded in myth and conflicting accounts, but the core outcomes are agreed upon. Sanguinius was struck down by Horus. However, the crucial defining detail is that Sanguinius managed to wound Horus, to pierce the War Master's formidable armor and, perhaps more importantly, his psychic or spiritual defenses. This was a feat that seemingly no other being in the galaxy could have accomplished in that moment. By forcing Horus to kill him, Sanguinius inflicted a wound, be it physical, spiritual, or psychological, that momentarily broke through the chaos enhancements, creating the crucial window of opportunity the Emperor needed to defeat Horus. This is the ultimate expression of Sanguinius' strength. In his final preordained moments, facing insurmountable odds, he performed an act that altered the course of history, an act that was simultaneously a fatal defeat and the most critical victory of the entire war. He transcended his own limitations and destiny through sheer will and nobility, delivering a blow that made the Emperor's subsequent triumph possible. Comparing this to his brothers underscores his unique position. Horus possessed immense strength but fell to corruption, demonstrating a fatal spiritual weakness. Magnus was arguably the most powerful psyker, but his arrogance and poor judgment led to catastrophic failure. Angron had unmatched physical fury but was a slave to rage, incapable of true control or strategic thought. Guilliman embodies strategic brilliance and resilience, leading to the Imperium's reconstruction, but his strength is that of organization and enduring will, not the radiant sacrificial power of Sanguinius. None faced their preordained doom with such conscious awareness and used it as a weapon in their final moments. In conclusion, while the debate over the strongest Primarch is perennial and multifaceted, a deep dive into the extensive details of Sanguinius' life, character, and the ultimate sacrifice presented a compelling case for his supremacy. His combination of unparalleled physical prowess, unique spiritual fortitude, prophetic burden, unwavering resistance to corruption despite internal struggle, universal leadership, and the singular pivotal act of wounding a chaos-empowered War Master in his dying moments elevate him beyond the conventional measures of strength. Sanguinius was not just a warrior, He was a symbol, a martyr, and the one Primarch whose ultimate conscious act of defiance against fate itself proved to be the saving grace of the Imperium. His strength was the strength of his soul, forged in the crucible of impossible burdens, and culminating in the decisive blow that echoes through millennia. By any meaningful measure of a Primarch's true power and impact, Sanguinius truly stands as the strongest. And so I have now covered the content for this video, but if there's anything that has been missed, please share them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this content, please like the like and subscribe waypoints, or join to become an acolyte down below, so that more people can learn from the archives. In the grim dark of the far future, there is only war.